Hi friends, welcome back to another video / episode of the James Red Podcast. I'm here with a guy who I came across through my wife, who knows somebody named Sarah Dici, who was an Adobe Creative resident, who knows this guy who is an Adobe Creative resident and who is a designer. His name is Temi Coker, and he's a designer and photographer, Adobe Creative resident. What that means is that Adobe will they basically support creators and allow them to pursue their passion projects for an entire year, which is super awesome. And I think a lot of creators definitely envy that. But what his design is interesting. It has a really, really exciting style to it. And I want to talk to him about it. It's like this beautiful interplay between photo elements. And he has a strong handle of color theory and it's sort of surreal in its nature. There's one that there's an example that I think of where he mixed a guy and a fish. There's like a guy coming out of the back of a fish. Really exciting stuff. Yeah. So yeah, like just an elegant handle on the use of color. And I think that's really interesting. And I want to pick his brain, talk about it. But I'll link below to his things. He's an interesting creator. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, James. I'm doing great.
Awesome. So how you were telling me that your day has been busy. Has it been good busy or bad busy?
It has been good busy. This morning I had a call. We got to talk to like the Patreon team to figure out like how we can possibly use their services at the end of the year, because right now it would be hard to try to do a Patreon while doing the Adobe Creative residency. Mm-hmm. So that was good, but I slept at like 4:30 this morning, so I missed like part of the meeting because I forgot and I was sleeping. So rough start, but the day started getting better. I had a meeting with another friend who I'm doing some graphic design for. She wants me to design like her Spotify playlist. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh.
Just design a Spotify playlist cover.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I've never had anyone ask me to do that because I usually just do it for my own playlist. But if that's a way of like, if that's like a new avenue to be doing design, I don't mind. It sounds interesting.
So you slept until 4:30 and missed a meeting. What kind of meetings are you going to, man?
So I slept at 4:30 this morning, and the meeting was like 9:50 a.m. in San Francisco.
Oh, you went to sleep at 4:30.
Yeah, like 4:30 this morning. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the time differences here.
No, you're good. I thought you were saying you woke up at 4:30.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
I was like, what meetings are you missing at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Right. I mean, when I was a teacher, I used to wake up that early, or like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't miss that anymore. Goodness.
Oh, dude, I used to be a Starbucks barista, and I did that for a little while, and I almost died physically.
Oh yeah, it takes a toll on the body. But yesterday we have a presentation next week with some Adobe people in San Francisco. So I was working on that till like 2, and then I started working on something else. Then before I knew it, was 4:30, and my eyes were twitching, so I went to sleep.
Man, if there was any doubt that you were a legitimate designer, it has all been cast away by you. You went to sleep at 4:30 because that's how it goes.
Yeah, like ideas come, or I'm working on some stuff, and I'm like, the momentum is going, and I can't let it stop, because if not, I would just not be able to get back to it. You know?
Yeah. Interesting, man. And I used to do that a lot. I have started to, my body will fall apart if I don't get enough sleep. And my wife is a little less sensitive to the lack of sleep. And I definitely envy her because sometimes things are easier for her in that sense. But I have to pretty consistently, I think it's because I think so hard all day. Maybe my brain just gets worn out more than other people.
I'm there with you.
I don't know. But anyway, okay. So I wanted to first talk about your design and your style and how you got to where you are today. How did you get into this type of design and design in general to begin with?
Yeah, so for design in general, when I was in college, I've always just been cognizant of how like different elements of design can change an image or capture a viewer's attention. And so I was always drawn to that. And in my in my college classes, we had to take a graphic design class. And so I took that and it was a lot of fun. We had to learn color, we had to learn printing and stuff like that. And I remember there was this, during my senior year, we had this branding project and I took it so seriously because they split the class in half. And I was the leader for one group and the other guy was the leader for the other group. And so we had to like brand some stuff for the university. And for whatever reason, the whole like my love for graphic design just went crazy. I started looking up inspiration. I started learning Illustrator and stuff like that. And with photography, I was already doing photography, so that wasn't too hard. It was just how do I blend photography and design together. So I did that, and that's kind of how I started. And I just kept going, but then I kind of stopped 2014 after I graduated. No, actually, I stopped 2014, but after I graduated, I went to work at a church as a graphic designer, which was where I met Sarah Dici. And a couple of months later, I left to go to start teaching. And once I started teaching, I didn't really touch Illustrator as much because I didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of branding work. So 2 years later, my friend started this thing called a poster a day. And this friend was the same person I used to work with at the church where I met Sarah Dici. He was the lead designer. And so we both started doing the poster a day stuff together. For me, I wanted to do it because I wanted to get better in Photoshop so that I could be as good in Photoshop as I was in Illustrator. I was good in Photoshop, but not when it came to design. When it came to editing, taking blemishes off the face, using the clone stamp tool, all of that stuff, I could do that. But when it comes to like design, using the mixer brush tool, using the wind filter, distort, liquefy, all of that stuff, I had to learn. And so that's kind of how I started. So this poster day started 2016, but then 2017, I proposed to my now wife. And so I kind of took a break during our engagement season. And so I kind of picked that back up this year. And so I'm finishing my posters this month or early August. And,
So I still know you're in the marriage club too.
Yeah, I'm in the marriage club.
It's the best club around, man.
Yeah, she's in her room watching some show, but I forgot my ring today, and she sent me a picture of it because I know I washed the dishes and I forgot to like put the ring back on before I left.
You take it off. I take my ring off every time I wash dishes because I'm horrified of it going down the garbage disposal.
Yes, I'm horrified of it going down the drain. I'm also like, I don't know why I feel like, even though it's real, I'm still like treating it like it's not real. So even when I wash my hands, I take it off.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. She was like, hey, it's real. You paid this much for it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. True. So it's going to take me a while to get used to that.
Well, dude, you could do the hipster thing and just tattoo a ring on your finger.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about it. I don't have any tattoos, but she wants to get a tattoo, and I'm thinking we could do something like that.
Hey, man. I mean, if you, I'm sure you look at marriage the way that I do. It's forever, so you might, you might as well put
exactly, exactly.
That's awesome. So does she do creative things too?
Yeah, so she does photography, and she makes ceramics.
Oh, interesting.
So she's really good at both of those. Yeah, and I think like she's grown so much in her photography. I'm so excited to see where like she will end up. And we've shot weddings together. I don't usually just have anybody shoot weddings with me. So she had to like, I mean, her work was that good for me to be able to like say, hey, I can trust her. And it wasn't just because she was my girlfriend. I have people that I can hire to second shoot for me, but it was just something about her style that I really liked. And so to me, like if you're shooting weddings with me, then more than likely you're really good and I trust your work. You know? So.
Well, and there's like a synchronization that happens too when it's your wife. and
Yeah,
you don't have to you don't have to share the money in the same sense that you would have to share it with just a
exactly.
partner, right?
Exactly. It all goes in house.
It all
That's the
goes in.
good thing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys feed off of each other in certain ways?
Yeah, I think we do. I definitely feed off of her when she does her like she works for brands here and there, and the way she does like product shooting and lay flats, she's amazing with that. And just aesthetically, like she's so good at making a house a home. Like
Mhm.
like we have a yellow couch and she made all of that stuff. I mean, if you see my apartment before I got married, I just had a futon and nothing was hanging on the
Yeah.
wall.
Okay, so
You know,
you're cool with just letting it be a purely functional place for you to
yeah, as
exist.
long as like, yeah, if it works, it works. But she's like, she wants it to look good so that whenever you come, you're actually feeling good about the place and all of that stuff. And so she like decked out our bathroom, and now it looks like a museum. It's just
Well,
our work,
it
and
makes a
then
difference, man.
for sure, it definitely did. Because before, I don't even know what it looked like before anymore. I just know
Hmm.
that now I really like the way the bathroom looks. So
My wife loves plants. Like we probably have 16 plants in this house right now, and it's we're trying to turn it into like some sort of Amazon rainforest jungle place.
right,
We're
right,
trying to
right,
make our air better. We live in the Salt Lake Valley, and the air quality is not the best in the world. So
right.
the goal is that we're going to just breathe in this oxygen rich air, and then our brains are going to get huge, and then we're going to change the world.
Right.
That's
That's
the game
good.
plan.
That's good.
That's awesome. I think that I think that our culture really downplays the value of marriage a lot,
Oh yeah,
and
I agree.
how you can how you can feed off of each other for inspiration, but also how the other one can sort of test you and grow you and make you better by pushing all of your buttons and pointing out
Yeah.
everything that's wrong with you, not in a
Right.
nefarious way, but like in a constructive criticism kind of way. And it's like
Right.
marriage is very much testing by fire. You're seeing what the other person's doing that is a serious character flaw in them, or maybe just a minor one that you see it enough that it's frustrating, and vice versa. And
Right.
I think that marriage is such a you can't be selfish and maintain a marriage.
Oh no. I learned that quickly.
Mm.
I mean, you can't, it's not about you. You can't think about yourself. You have to think about somebody else. And it's almost like doing so much good that the other person, that you're trying to outdo the other person in goodness.
Mm.
And so, yeah. And what I've also learned is like, we're a team.
Mm.
So I shouldn't look at my wife as an enemy or anything like that. We're a team, and if there's a situation, rather than fussing at her, we can fuss at the situation together, and that will bring us closer.
Mm.
Because people tend to just say, "Hey, you did this. It's your fault. Why do you always do this?" But rather assessing the situation and then talking to them like, "Hey, so how can we better address this, or how can we make this not happen again?"
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how
Mm-hmm.
team. That's how a team should work. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's amazing whenever I come across a creator who is married in a world of solo creators.
yeah, yeah,
There's a benefit to being a solo creator, obviously, but there's something that you can't get from being a solo creator that you can get from being a married creator, and there's something that you can't get from being a married creator that you can get from being a solo creator, right?
yeah. You have to trade.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Has to be some type
So
of trade.
So one thing that is interesting to me about your designs is you're seemingly pulling from a lot of different areas in your brain to come
Mm-hmm.
up with these concepts, and some of them are
Mm-hmm.
a little bit abstract, sort of surreal feeling. And you're making like there's one where you took a picture of a girl with white hair and put a cassette tape over her face, and I thought this was so interesting. The cassette tape is very colorful, beautiful. Like I said, handling of color theory, pastel, wavy colors across it. But it's like how do you conceptualize a design from the beginning?
Oh man, I used to take it. What I used to do before is I used to always think about something before I got into Photoshop and started working on it. But I realized that sometimes you don't have the time to wait for inspiration.
Mm.
Because sometimes it could take me like 2 days to come up with a concept. And I'm the kind of person I don't like to repeat myself too much, or if I do, I try to make it different while still using kind of like the same elements. So like with the fish thing, I've done one where the fin was the head, and then I was like, man, I do that a lot. And so I was like, okay, what can I do differently? And so I was like, well, maybe if the fish is coming out of the person, that would look even more amazing. And the fins blend into the person's back. And I found the perfect image for it. But in order to reach that level, I had to like do a lot of trial and error. So like a lot of my posters, they take longer than the amount of time that I actually put online. And the reason I don't put the whole time is because sometimes I don't want people to feel discouraged. Like, hey, this took Temi Coker 3 hours, because 2.5 or 2 hours of that time was me just trying to figure out what could work, you know. But then when I figured out what could work, then it took me like maybe 30 minutes, 45, an hour to finalize everything. But yeah, so like it's hard because some days I'm like, I run dry, I don't have any ideas. And so I would either go into Pinterest or go into Instagram. And sometimes I'll just go to my friend's poster day stuff and just see like, what is he doing? What concepts is he doing that I might be able to tap into and make it mine? And then there's another guy named Slime Sunday. I love his work. And his concepts are just crazy. And now this way he does some of his stuff. It's not always hard, but the concept is like what gets me. And so I'm just trying to get to the level where like I can make up concepts like that on the go. I've also started using notes, so I would put like ideas that come to mind. Like if I'm flying in the sky, I'm like, okay, what if a whale is coming out of the sky? And then there's like the person's looking out the window, and it's almost like the world is going up or trying to come down, and just different elements like that are stuff that I would think about. And I also love like looking at textures, colors, and different things like that. And so inspiration comes and goes. But my thing is like, an advice for someone out there wanting to do this stuff is just open a Photoshop, bring a bunch of images in, and start cranking. And you realize that some of the stuff that you come up with are like stuff you would never have been able to come up with if the images weren't in front of you. So
I love that this idea that you'll take a previous concept and you will adapt upon it as sort of a springboard into your next design. So it's a little bit different. It's different enough that it feels new. I also love you were saying like when you're flying, you're making these abstractions in your head, and you're like, how can I turn that into a design? I think that's fascinating, and I love that. I love this idea of just throwing a bunch of crap into Photoshop and just seeing what you can figure out, seeing how it can come together. And one thing that some creators do much better than other creators, I think, but that is something that's incredibly important. I think we forget to do this, is being able to experiment and not feeling like you're wasting time. If you have a picture of a cassette tape and you have a picture of a beluga whale, and you're like, okay, maybe I can put it on the horn. I don't know. This is probably going to be stupid. This probably isn't going to work, but I'll try it, see what happens. Just play around. Maybe you scrap the whole thing, but it's this playful experimentation, and it's stuff that we would do as kids, but it's like as you get older, you think you're not supposed to do that anymore. You take it more seriously. There's time constraints. There's all sorts of factors in your head that make you feel like you're not allowed to experiment with something that feels not ordinary and that it might not work out. Right. And so I think that's something that your design speaks to, is the ability to sort of play around with concepts that maybe don't go together at first glance. And
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people do that stuff, and it took me a while to like just go crazy
mm,
because I was always like, man, my design needs to make some type of sense and stuff like that. And then one day I was like, I saw someone else's art, and I was like, this does not make any sense. Like these two
but I
objects
love it.
don't go together, but I love it. Like the way you thought about the stuff, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start trying to be more um, deliberate with that stuff. And so sometimes my stuff will make sense. Sometimes it's just like things that come to mind. Like there was one I was doing, and it was just like a cassette tape. Like I saw a lady's face, and I was like, man, what if a cassette tape is sitting where her eyes are supposed to be, and so the circles on the cassette tape are her eyes. I was like, man, that's stupid. But then I was like, I need to try it at least. And so I did, and it came out good and one of my favorite posters now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely love that design. And I think there's just there's something to be said about how you can create something that maybe doesn't have a clear narrative to it, but it's like part of the function of any art form is to influence emotions. And I think what a lot of artists can do really well is they can create something that intellectually maybe doesn't make that much sense, but emotionally it speaks to
Right.
us in a way that maybe we can't even articulate to ourselves. Like there's a lot of
Right.
there's a lot of music that way, where it's like it's you know, the music is, you know, a bunch of beat boops and like pads, and like there's,
Right.
you know, there's like a drum that comes in off beat, and it's awkward and weird, but you listen to it and you're like, this is great. Like this is something that is feeding me right now.
Right.
And I think that it takes a certain, I don't know, maybe it takes a certain emotional intelligence to be able to feel that in yourself and then put that on the canvas, so to speak, and articulate that to somebody else. That's a really special
Right.
thing. There's a lot of artists who are able to do the technical stuff really well, but there's the emotional weight isn't there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's a hit or miss. Like, I feel like you should be as a graphic designer. Some people care about emotion, some people don't. Sometimes your art will convey some type of emotion, and sometimes it might not. But I think like I would say 90% of the time, I think your art can make some type of sense or bring some type of emotion out of somebody. And for me, it's not always like I'm not always trying to be deep with my art. You know, some people are like, I'm not going to make anything until it makes sense so I can make it deep. I have done some artwork where I never really had a meaning. I felt like there was something, but I couldn't pinpoint it.
Mm.
And so after I posted it, people came and started telling me like this is what it meant to them. And I thought that was a beautiful thing because I started to see it in my own work. But when I was creating it, I wasn't really thinking that way. And so I just love that you can create art and it can be interpreted different ways. And so yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very, very beautiful thing, and I think that people will take they'll take different things than you intended, and there's like beauty both ways, right? Like it's like if you tried to do
Right.
something and then people take it that way, great, okay, I succeeded. But if you tried to do something and people took it another way that was also good,
Right.
that's a really interesting thing too, and it's kind of surprising. It's like, oh, okay, and then you go, oh, what did I do to make that happen? It's like you reverse engineer it. What did I do to make that happen? How did I
Right.
accidentally do that? And then you can start to maybe intentionally do that.
Right.
It's
Definitely.
it's a beautiful
It's
thing.
a it's definitely is a like I think once you're able to know how to like make people think, that's a great asset to have as a graphic designer because it was like probably 3 years ago that I realized that there are a lot of graphic designers that are actually designing based on how the human brain works and based on how people perceive things,
Mm.
which I thought was really interesting. So like some people have designed stuff for people who are colorblind, And in the design, you can kind of like it. I don't know. It just resonates with people based on the design. I was like, man, there are people out there that are really designing to make a difference in the world and not just designing for fun. And I'm hoping that one day I can study that and get to that point where I'm designing things that will make people think, things that people can relate to, and whatnot. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Do you have any interest in creating something that people will look at, maybe even years in the future? Like I think of like a Salvador Dali painting where it's like people have interpreted his paintings for years. It's like,
Right.
what does this mean? It's a bunch of melted clocks and elephants that are like 9,000 feet tall. What's he trying to do here? And
Right.
do you want that? Do you want it to be sort of mysterious, or do you hope
Yeah,
people
I
are try
think
to interpret it at all?
yeah, I think for me, like my goal would be that people would feel something and interpret it, and I wanted to start conversations. That's my biggest thing. Like um, I, during my posters, like there was like a couple of posters where for like a week straight, I just focused on people with dark skin color, and what I wanted to convey was how beautiful your skin was, despite what the media showed. And of course, it was very controversial to some, but for me, it was spreading a message of like loving yourself, loving the skin that you're in. And a lot of people resonated with that so much. I mean, people were buying it. People felt like they saw themselves in there. And the technique that I used only worked well with people with dark skin. So that was what made it very important to me. Um, and and so like just different things like that. I did one with people who are albino. I found a picture of a kid, a young African American boy, but he had albinism, I believe is what it's called. And I photoshopped flowers around him just to show that he's important. Like he's a delicate young boy and stuff like that. And people resonated with that as well. So I just try to like send those different messages across through my art to start conversations and for people to be able to like relate to. So
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm. That's awesome. Uh, so do you do? So I know you have the residency, and that's obviously helping you be supported to do whatever you're up to on a daily basis. But do you do
Mhm.
commercial work as well?
Yeah, I do, but I haven't really done as much. Um, just starting out because I never like. I guess the my main audience before the residency was like people who wanted me to do weddings, people who wanted me to do album covers, but I am slowly and surely working towards like getting the commercial gigs. Like let's say Adidas reached out to me and says, "Hey, we want you to do a lookbook and add some graphic design elements to it." Like I would love to do that type of thing. So
Mm,
that's my hope, to become a creative director and work with brands doing photography and design. Um, but to get there, I don't mind like doing the little work that I have to do, which is like album covers or Spotify playlist design work. Um, but the biggest lesson I've learned is not to sit down and wait for brands to reach out to me. So I'm a big believer on like create the type of work you want to be hired for, and that's something my mentor always told me. Um, like you can't say I want to work with Nike and all of your portfolio has wedding stuff,
mm,
you
mm,
know? And
mm,
so rather than waiting, save some money, go out or find a stylist that can buy some stuff and return it for you. Or you can go to the store and buy some Nike gear or whatever and find a model and have them wear it and
mm.
do photography. And so,
Be
like,
scrappy.
yeah, you just have to, like, put yourself in that position because why would they hire you and say, hey, we want you to do this stuff if they haven't seen you do something like what they're thinking
Mm-hmm,
of having you to do? So,
mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. So, and did you say you were telling me that you got to get out of here in 8, right?
Yeah, 8:15ish.
Okay,
No
okay,
rush.
all right,
Yeah.
okay. I'll stay on task. Okay, so I have a lot of stuff that I written down that I really want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
How well, what inspires you when you're trying to come up with a design, and in general on an overarching level, what inspires you in your work?
I think I would say creation, and and when I say creation, I mean like I'm a Christian, and I just believe that things that God has made are beautiful, and so especially with people. So as a photographer, it's not my job to make people look beautiful; they already are. It's just for me to capture it in the to capture that beauty. And
I mean, and
so
articulate it, right?
yeah, and so for me, that's the exact same thing I want to do with design. And I love portraits. So like a lot of my stuff you see, it's portraits. And sometimes I got to a point I was like, man, I'm doing too much portraits. Should I try and do something else? I was like, no, you know. And sometimes I have tried to do something else. Like right now, I'm doing this 20-day challenge for Adobe Illustrator and InDesign, and I'm just doing like every day I make a new poster using Illustrator and Photoshop. And then once I'm done, I'll turn it into a book using Adobe InDesign. And I'm learning a lot because I used to use a lot of portraits. And for some of the posters, I did not use a portrait. I just made elements because with Illustrator, you can't like, I don't really draw in Illustrator. So I just make like gradient meshes, use the blending tool to make different shapes and elements and whatnot, and I bring them together. So yeah, I'm learning to do both because sometimes you might get gigs where they don't want you to use any portraits or things like that. And so for me, I want to make sure that I'm skilled enough to be able to make something that doesn't require like a subject.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think people are such a sort of evergreen subject because like I do street photography and all of my
Right.
street photos contain people. That's
Right.
like one of the, I have quite a few rules for what I'm trying to do to curate
Right.
myself, but that's the main one, right? As I'm working people into my shots, into the environment. And you know, I agree. It's just like it's hard to get away from it because we
Right.
are especially because yeah, I'm a Christian too. We both look at people as really, you know, sacred in a sense, sovereign, I guess is a good way to put it.
Right.
And
Right.
they have so much emotional value, and our
Mm-hmm.
faces have so much emotional uh, weight that can be communicated with them, and we
Right.
respond to that on a visceral level. And so whether it's, you know, faces or the body or even the fashion, like I have a good friend who's a street fashion portrait photographer,
Right.
and he speaks in such an interesting way about how fashion expresses who we are.
Right.
And so that's just an extension of the inner being of us as people and what makes us so interesting.
Definitely.
So I am also a people lover.
Same here.
um, so what's an area where you feel like you need to grow?
Hmm. Um, I think I want to get better with color theory.
Mm.
Like my friend Magdiel Lopez, he's crazy in a good way. Like the way he mixes colors together blows my mind. And he's been a designer for like 15 years. So when I first started, I was comparing myself to him a lot because I was like, dude, who thinks about those colors? Like, how do you
Mm.
mixing all of this stuff? And but he's so good. Colors that you wouldn't think matched, he would use it in a way to make sure one of them is a contrast and one of them is like the background color. So I think I definitely want to get better with using color, and that's why I'm using gradients for this 20-day challenge thing, so I can learn more about colors. I think another area I can grow in is, I guess, just being more proactive when it comes to getting work, because I was a high school teacher for 3 years, and I didn't really like reach out to agencies or send pitches to agencies and whatnot. I was just chilling, and work came to me. And if I want to do this freelance life full time, then I need to make sure that I am learning how to pitch ideas to brands, how to create the type of work I want to be hired for, and whatnot. So I think those are areas that I definitely need to grow in.
Do you think there was a factor of comfort in keeping you from pursuing in a much more what's the word, diligent way, coming across clients and finding people to work with? Do you think that it had to do with you being too comfortable, perhaps?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I was so comfortable that I would just create, which was not fully a bad thing because I was creating, I was putting content out. But as far as trying to get hired for the type of work I want, I was not proactive in that area. Partly because I didn't know how to even approach that. So all I did was I just created content. So now the good thing is I have enough. The good thing is I have enough work now to like be able to pitch to brands and say, hey, I do this, I do that, and blah blah blah. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. What do you hope somebody takes away from seeing your work?
Um, that's a good question.
I try.
Um, I want people to like leave knowing that you know that what makes you you is that you're you. And what I mean by that is that a lot of us try to, and there's nothing bad about being inspired by other people, but we try to create like them. But the thing is, we're never going to be them. And so, what you need to do is, if you're inspired, be inspired and use the inspiration with what you know, and create something that comes from your heart that is like synonymous to who you are.
Mm.
And so for me, I've been through my fair shares of like trying to be like this graphic designer, doing posters like this person, and it just wasn't fulfilling because I was literally copying somebody else. Now, if you want to practice, that's a good way to practice. But for me, I think understanding that I'm myself and that I'm the only Temi Coker that's going to Temi Coker a poster, that's what makes me like happy. That's why I'm not like scared about showing people my techniques and stuff. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to make what I make.
Mm.
They can try, but at the end of the day, I didn't make it, so therefore, it's not something that I would make. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just to be yourself, and be consistent. I promise you, if you start, I told my wife today, she's trying to get into Photoshop to just like do graphic design stuff. I was like, if you do it once a day, an hour for a day, like you will learn so much. And that was what I started doing. And I have learned so many things in Photoshop that I never knew existed. And I've learned how to like find my own way on doing things because I would see something online and they're doing it a different way that's kind of harder. And so I would just do mine differently. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you view rules in terms of design for yourself? Are you somebody that abides by a certain amount? Do you see what do you think the value is of rules? What do you think the value is of pushing away certain rules?
Right. I think the value with rules is that if you know them, you know where to start. Right? If you know the rules, you know your boundaries, you know where to start. Now, with that being said, I tell my students this when I was a teacher. I told them, learn the rules, practice the rules. Once you've practiced and you've learned them very well, break them. Right? Practicing the rules puts you in that creative space to like know how things are supposed to look like and work. And then breaking the rules increases your like thinking. It makes you think like, what if I actually did this? Like there's this guy named Balgasm. Like his work is stupid, crazy, dumb, good. Like
filthy, if you will.
Yeah, right. I've watched his tutorials and what I've learned from him is that he's the person that learns the rules but he breaks them. And so he's like, so this is how you make this tool. Okay, well, there's this other tool over here. What if I use this tool on this tool? What is that gonna do? Like curiosity. And that's what I love about breaking the rules. Like it increases my curiosity to like try different things. Like if I'm making a poster, I would usually like I'll be trying a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff that I end up doing are mistakes. Like, and people don't believe me, and I wish like sometimes I wish I was recording when I was actually making it so people can actually see. But some of the stuff I do is just random accidents. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so I do it again. And then once I learn it, then I start trying to add it and I try to build off of that. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a conversation recently with my friend. Her name's Kelty, and she has studied acting. And the way she spoke about how they taught her how to act in acting school was they would say they would teach the rules, and they would get it into your body. That's how she explained it. Get it into your body. And then they would say, all right, forget all of that. Like once it's in your body, it's there. Forget all of the rules and go out and, I guess be spontaneous, be yourself. And so it's like you go out with this thing built into you now that is an adaptation, not an adaptation, but it's an expression of a well-rounded you in that craft.
Right.
And I thought that was a really interesting way to put it, because it's like I'm a musician too, and muscle memory is a huge part of doing that. Muscle memory is a huge part of most crafts, to varying extents, and it's a good way to put it. Get it into your body, get it into your mind, let it sort of marinate in your brain and cover your brain in the sauce of design rules, aesthetics, and whatever, color theory. Right. And then don't think about those rules. I think it's another good way to put it, is like don't like, because on a daily basis you're not going, all right, let me consult my design Bible. Yeah. Right. It's just it's flowing, but it's built into you, so you know how to express it properly.
Right. Yeah. I'm a musician as well, so I definitely relate with you on that, like the muscle memory stuff. Like in our church, our music director told us, like, if you can't play the song with your eyes closed, you don't know it. Because you have to get to a point where you like feel where you feel the music and your fingers understand like where to go, so that, because like sometimes a lot of churches, they have like the music sheet and stuff, and it's like you're not really like, the muscle memory is not there. You're just looking at the script and trying to play like that. So yeah.
What do you play?
I play the keys.
Okay, sweet. How long have you been doing that?
I started when I was like 10.
Oh, no way. 11. That's cool. Do you know about a guy named Corey Henry?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Corey Henry, Robert Glasper, Snarky Puppy. There's a guy that plays keys for Snarky Puppy. I forgot his name. Dang, I forgot his name.
Oh crap.
Black guy.
Starts with an L or something? I forget.
I think so. Yeah. And he played on Lingus, and golly, it was just crazy.
What, Corey Henry? Like his solo?
Yes.
Corey Henry
was crazy.
Filthy.
I almost wanted to quit.
Dude, it was, I mean, I think every jazz musician holds that solo as a legendary solo that makes you question your validity in life.
Right. There's this other kid though. His name is Jacob.
Jacob Collier?
Yes, Jacob Collier. Yeah. Oh my gosh. He's crazy.
Yeah, he's good, man.
I just don't understand. He's so good. Yeah.
And now I watched one of my favorite things about him was there was a documentary where he went to I forget the name of this. It was a college. It was a music college. And
I saw that.
Yeah. And it's just him working with these kids and developing a show for, these people show up and then they all play together. And it was really fun to watch his brain go through that process. And also I've watched his, it's called I Harm You. It's live streams where he will he'll take a harmony from some. Oh my gosh, my earbuds are flying out. He'll take a harmony from somebody, or just a single melody from somebody, he'll bring it into his music editor. He'll start harmonizing with it, and for you know it, there's like 250 tracks of him making a song around this single little course that somebody sang for him. And
Right.
I was thoroughly obsessed with watching him just formulate things. And you know, he does a lot of looping on stage as well, so he's very quick. Like when he's recording this stuff on the live stream, I mean, like he's running over to the drum set, he'll lay down a beat really quick, and they'll come back over and play a little thing on the keys, and then he'll do 5 different harmonies in 8 seconds, and just go, oh, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. And one of my favorite things I heard him say at the end of one of those was, I call it the vomit technique. It's where you take all of your creative ideas and you get them out on paper, so to speak. And I forget exactly how I said it, but you get it out, and then you have to have the courage to get rid of what doesn't work. And it allows you to have this sort of free-form creativity.
Right.
We try to restrict ourselves, though. We go, oh, that won't work. I won't try that. But he's just like, he'll vomit all these ideas out so quickly, and then he'll try it. Okay, that didn't work here. Maybe I'll move it over here and make it a little quieter, because that wasn't the best thing in the world. But I can put it in reverse and make a little sound clip out of it, right? And I love watching people create in such a flowing, freeform kind of way. It's a really special thing.
Definitely.
Well, okay, I'm glad we connected on some jazz pianists. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you play keys as well?
No, I play drums.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I play drums, and I've been playing since I was 4, but in the church world, but more so in the white church world. So a little less of the disgusting.
Right. I'm glad you noticed the difference, because I'm glad you noticed the difference, because it's definitely a difference. And I've been pushing for like churches to be like diverse in that area, because we get very comfortable with Hillsong songs and all of this stuff. And not that anything is wrong with it, but for me as a musician, like the key progressions are almost the same in almost every key, and they're usually playing in C, or they're playing, I don't know if you know the number system, but they're usually playing like a 6-4-5, 6-5-4. Pretty, it just sounds the same. Yeah, pretty simplistic or whatever. While if you go to like a church that is like diverse, with a diverse band, you can still have some of that in there, but then there's still like this jazzy feel that we can bring into the music to make it sound fuller and better and stuff like that. And so
it's definitely. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was saying that's what we're pretty much doing in our church. Like we have Hispanic guitarists. We have a guy who's Asian who plays guitar. We have a white guy who plays keys. We have me who plays keys as well. So there's a mix in there, and we just throw out ideas, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing to think about when it comes to church music, and a lot of people can't resonate with this who didn't grow up in the church world, but it's a world all its own. I'll just put it that way. Like there's a culture there, and there's this balance, and the question is where should the balance fall between technicality and emotionalness, I guess. And it's like in the churches I grew up in, it leans more towards an emotional quality. It's trying to get you engaged in the moment, and and you know, and like in gospel music, it's more technical. It's much more technical. It has the same end goal, but there's a technicality to it that it's almost like they create emotionality through the technicalness of the music.
Right.
And like I've been able to spend some time around people in that world, and it blows your mind a little bit, because there's so much. You'll get around people who are much more musically diversified. Their ability to just do things on the fly, and then if you get in the right church, it's just like hey, we didn't even practice. We just showed up. Give me a little something in C sharp, and we're off.
Right.
Right? and, and it's like you got to be able to follow, and you got like you're just like if you're on the drums, you're like okay. He made a thing with his hands. What do I do? Okay, oh crap, I gotta And
Right.
so there's also this balance between this things being very very planned and things being incredibly spontaneous, and it goes both ways. It's a weird thing, but I think it reminds me that like excellence can fall all over the place on that spectrum.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. But before I let you get out of here, I want to talk to you about the residency really quick.
Yes.
First off, how did you obtain this opportunity?
Man, I honestly just applied. It was a Sarah Dici did it. That's how I heard about it. And then my other friend Andre LaRoe, he was the resident for last year. He told me he kept bugging me to apply, and I was discouraged because I just didn't feel like my work was like that good to apply. And so honestly, I even told my wife now that back then when she was my fiance, I told her that I didn't think I was going to get in, and there was no point applying. And so 4 hours before the deadline, and mind you, I already wrote everything up. I did everything. I just never pressed submit. And so 4 hours before the due date, I pressed submit, and I sent it, and I said, God is in your hands. If you want to get it, cool. If you don't, it's all good. And then like the next week I got a call to set up a phone interview, did that, and they told me to they wanted me to like make some adjustments to my pitch, so I did, and then they were like, okay, well, they're different like rounds too, so they're like, okay, we're gonna review back, and if you feel like you're good enough to get to let me not say good enough, but if you feel like what you're pitching to us is a great idea that will help you and help the program, then we'll move forward. Mind you, there were like 1,300 applications. And so like even there were some videos online with people acting like they got the residency, so that was crazy to watch on YouTube. The guy was like, I got the residency, and I was like, dang, well, he got it, I didn't get it. And I watched the video and I was like, this guy's lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I remember they called a couple of months later, a couple of weeks later, and I flew to San Francisco for the interview. And then a couple of weeks after that, they gave me a call and they told me I got it. And I was crying because I did not expect it.
Yeah. So yeah, what was that moment like when you realized you got it?
Oh, it was a lot of emotions. Like I was crying. I was like just happy that I finally did something, even though I thought I wasn't, like that I finally did something. Because like I told you, that I was always comfortable. There were opportunities for me to apply to other things, but I never did because I was just comfortable. And so when I got this, first thing I started thinking of was like me leaving the school and my students and all that stuff. And but when I told them, they were extremely happy, and they said they would subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch my tutorial videos and stuff. So it was just helpful. And that's it. That same day, my wife and I we went out to eat and celebrate and whatnot. And it's been crazy, like in a good way. Like I was extremely happy that I got it, and I was thankful.
Dude, I think it's super
and
cool.
They worked with me.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's super cool that you celebrate it, because we creative, productive types have a tendency to skip that part. It's like, all right, we got the thing, moving on. What's next? What's the next? What's the next? What's the next financial opportunity? What's the next design I'm making? How do I, and it's like, for a lot of people, when they achieve a huge goal in their life, it's like halfway the worst moment of their life, because they've spent so much time working up to that thing. Like, what am I doing now? Right. So you have to have,
that's where I'm at.
You have to have a foundation for growth, I guess. But also, I think we can all benefit from celebrating when we do something, even if it's small. We do
Yeah,
something that's
I
meaningful
agree.
and that we should be proud of, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely
So
agree.
like in round two, was there like a sword fight? Like what was
Yeah, I mean, like,
like? Did you guys shoot at each
oh,
other with like? Was there like a paintball match, or did y'all just have
I
to do a
wish.
design?
Well, so I didn't get to meet the other people because the time I flew to Adobe for my Adobe headquarters for my interview was like it was just me that day, so there was not any other people. But apparently, I heard like there were good like 20 something maybe or 30 something that were interviewed, and they only picked seven. So um, it just lets me know that even with interviews, doesn't always mean you got it.
Hmm.
When I was doing the interview, people were telling me like, "Hey, you got it." I was like, I want to get my hopes up too much,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. But I was happy that I made it that far, and it was it was a lot. Like the interview, like they did not play around. They
Hmm.
asked real questions, and they did their research on me. Like imagine going to an interview and they're like, "Yeah, so on your YouTube tutorial, we saw that you did." Blah, blah. I was like, "Whoa, so you watch my stuff, you
Hmm.
know?" So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. The whole process behind closed doors, as far as like what Adobe does, is it's like a lot. So it's you don't just get in. Like there's so many people that have to approve of your work, approve of you, and I think that eventually have to go to like the top boss to sign everybody's name off. Yeah,
Hmm. I
so
see. So what is
yeah.
that? What has that meant to your for your life since you got it?
Um, it's been good. It seems like a lot of people like taking me more seriously now that they see a Adobe Creative Resident on there.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, my friend told me about it before, but I didn't think he was real. But now it's really happening. Like, I mean, uh, I'm working on some stuff with some brands that I will hopefully be able to um, bring to fruition. Opportunities have come for me to teach classes online or like workshops and stuff. So I'm really excited about that. I got to go to France for the Cannes Lions Film Festival, which is like the biggest film festival in the world. And I got to do some work there and meet some creative people, and so that was pretty amazing. So yeah, it's been really good. It's very can get very busy for sure as far as meetings and stuff and whatnot. But I love that I have more time to do what I'm actually supposed to be doing. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So which is just design and photography,
What would
merging
you?
them together.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who really wants this or some version of this for their life and they feel like it's like absolutely impossible?
Yeah, well, that was me. um, I, I say don't wait for the opportunities to come. Um, and don't feel like if the opportunities don't come that you don't have a purpose. Everyone has different lanes to get to their creative journey, like to the end of their creative journey, and it's gonna look different. You know, some people might have to. I don't want to say work harder, but some people might not be able to get opportunities like this. However, I feel like you should still be pursuing what you want to do. Because what Adobe told me when I was sending my pitch, when I was applying, was that the stuff that you're applying for, make sure it is something that if you don't get the residency, make sure it's something that you're still going to do.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And when I
That
saw
speaks to
that,
them as a company too.
exactly, you
Yeah.
know, so they're like, we want you to still be creating. We don't want you to feel like if you don't get this that you need to stop. They're like, pitch ideas that you're going to still work on even if you don't get the residency. So for me, that spoke volumes. And so the stuff I pitched them was something that, regardless of whether I got the residency or not, I was still going to do. Whether if I didn't get the residency, I would still be doing my poster day. I would still make a book. I would still do an exhibition. I would still make album covers and stuff like that. And so it's pretty amazing to just be reminded that regardless of the opportunities that come and go, be consistent, keep creating, and yeah, don't wait for opportunities. Just crank them out and keep going and keep networking. And opportunities will come. Like I think opportunities are attracted to consistency and hard work.
Mm.
And sometimes luck. But yeah.
Yeah, dude. Good words, man. Good universal truth,
Thank
I
you.
think.
I
Very good.
appreciate it.
Cool, man. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Awesome.
Where can people find you if they want to?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It is Temi, T as in Tom, E as in elephant, M as in monkey, I as in indigo, dot, Coker, Coker. And
You
my
must do a
website
lot of
is
phone
Temi.
calls.
Yeah, yeah, trust me. They're like, what's your full name? And I have to like do that for them.
No,
Also,
T
you can,
as in tiger. T.
right. My full name is Tame Lewis. I got to spell everything out. I'm used to it now. But yeah, you can also find me on the web, temicoker.co. I'm on Twitter, Temi_Coker. Um, and yeah, you can find me on Pinterest. I have a Pinterest board where I have my inspirations for like stuff that inspires me for my posters. Or if you go to my website, I have integrated my Pinterest board to my website, so you can actually see it. It's called Mood Board. So temicoker.co/mood board, and you will see like the recent pins that I have pinned. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and well, check him out because you are a very talented creator. I appreciate your work, man.
Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for watching and or listening, everybody. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.